I'm Jeff Carlin, and I'm a rheumatologist. And I recently retired after many years working at Virginia Mason. I met Summer when she was a medical student. I believe she was a third-year medical student, and came to me as a patient. Summer had been diagnosed several years previously with an autoimmune disease and was struggling. We got her on the proper medicines. She was able to successfully finish her medical school. I convinced her to do a residency at Virginia Mason so we could stay in touch, and we used to see each other on a regular basis through her residency program. Then she went on to do a rheumatology fellowship, and I was one of her advisors on rheumatology fellowship programs. Summer has an exceptional relationship with her patients because she has empathy in addition to sympathy. And that is an unusual mix. And I think that makes her exceptional and special. She has a full life. Summer surprised me when in her choice of fellowship. She had spent so much time at the University of Washington, had spent extra time doing rheumatology training at the University of Washington, extra rotations or whatever. When it came to match for her rheumatology fellowship, she went to California. And she went to the University of California at Irvine. She did a 180, went someplace else. We still love her. Always was passionate about going back home and helping out because there's been such a shortage of rheumatologists in that part of the world. As a kid, she works really long hours, just shows what people can do with their own personal drive and also with good medical care.
My name is Suzanne Vogt. I'm a program manager in the biotechnology field, so I work with different teams of scientists as well as clinical trial teams that are trying to help get new therapies to patients in sort of a broad spectrum. I think a lot of the patients that I've been exposed to, a lot of the people who I've experienced who've had disorders like this, living with chronic pain is very hard. It's hard to be happy, it's hard to be approachable, it's hard to be outgoing, it's hard to want to connect with the world when you're in pain, it's hard to want to do anything when you're in pain. It's hard to plan when you don't know, how things are going to be, if they're going to be good, if they're going to be bad. It's hard to really get outside of that experience where everything is unknown, is uncomfortable. Summer was a medical student. She was, sort of young and very happy. She comes across as non-pretentious, very approachable in all circumstances. I think we really connected, both coming from very rural areas, having families with, medical backgrounds, in terms of having that similar empathy element of things. I think she was genuinely nervous about whether or not what her path looked like. She had these aspirations to become a physician who was going to serve the needs of Alaska very early on. From the very first meeting, and she really didn't know if she was going to be able to become physically strong enough to do that. And so we spent, a good amount of time about talking what were the physical challenges she would endure, how we trained for that, how she would get to that place to where she felt comfortable. Because at that point, I think she was still figuring out what her treatment plans were on a lot of spectrums and to whether or not her body would recover and to what capacity. So she knew what her goals were, but we were, very unsure as to really what that was going to look like or if it was going to play out as we hoped it would. She had been playing with the idea as to whether or not her newfound strength, since she had done CPR so successfully, was going to translate into some of the other areas. So I told her we could go for a pretty strenuous hike. We took lots of stops. We blamed it on the corgi legs, not on Summer, and finally got up to our mountaintop, got to climb up and over a bowl, look at an alpine lake, took a bunch of photos. And I just remember that look while we were planning those photos of Summer's pure joy, I guess. It was kind of everything coming together. She had actually climbed her mountaintop. After climbing her mountaintop, and everything kind of came together, and being able to see her feel her joy and her freedom in that she felt like she could be adventurous and be strong was kind of one of my favorite freeze frames that will always stick into my brain. Summer's a very resilient person. I think she is incredibly kind. She makes anything that is hard seem easy or light. She removes that heaviness from a lot of things that most people's natural response would be for more of the darker side or the heavier side. I think Summer identified that for herself. She put in the work. She came for weekly sessions for years with me to get physically stronger. And so that's an element that I would imagine continues on with her in terms of her understanding for the global patient experience. I think she is really the epitome of a patient advocate. Her learned experience, her dedication towards gaining knowledge in a really academic way. You know, she's really bright. She's completely approachable in the sense that she's unassuming, so that patients feel like they can share their storylines with her, that she can get the information that she needs and develop a relationship, because their journey is not 15, 20, 30 minutes in a doctor's visit every 3 months. It's years long.
Summer, I wish I could be here to help you share your joy and receive your reward for your remarkable journey. You are clearly a role model for people, and you deserve the accolades that you have gotten today.